Today, a memo to the President. The topic is Fix the Tax System. Hi, I'm Gigi Hinton, along with the author of that memo, Bill Gale, who is Vice President and Director of Economic Studies here at Brookings. Bill, you've long advocated tax reform. President-elect Obama is walking into a huge morass with our economy. And you said repairing the economy is part and parcel with reforming the tax system. What's the situation?
The situation is he faces an enormous number of challenges right now on the economic and the tax front, but also an enormous number of opportunities. And the success will occur if he can use these difficult situations as opportunities to create positive changes in the tax code. The most obvious areas for reform are energy and health. Those are both situations where he's made it a very strong goal of his administration to reform energy, to reform the healthcare sector. Taxes are at the root of the issue in both the energy and the healthcare sector.
And what would the impact be from the healthcare system?
On the healthcare sector, one of the big issues is that we give a deduction for health insurance by firms, and that deduction is basically open-ended. So that gives firms incentive to spend too much on their employers, on their workers' health care to give them sort of gold-plated health insurance packages. And the benefits of those go mainly to high-income workers who face the highest tax rates. So there are opportunities to reform that, to change that, to encourage everyone to have a health insurance plan and to give the benefits more equitably across households.
Bill, what about taxes and the stimulus package?
There, I think spending has to be a big part of the issue. Spending on infrastructure, help to state and local governments, unemployment benefits, food stamps, etc. It's possible that taxes can also have a significant role there, but we've done rebates in the past. The evidence is somewhat mixed. I think it's likely they will do a rebate, but it wouldn't be my favorite aspect of the stimulus package.
Okay, and you also write that in reforming the tax system to make it simpler, more equitable, and more efficient, it will make it easier to raise taxes down the road as needed. Why is that?
Right. Well, nobody likes to raise taxes, but the fact is we have a long-term fiscal gap in this country. The spending that we've said we would have on Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, and the rest of government exceeds the revenues we've been willing to say we would have. And so there's a long-term fiscal gap. We either have to cut spending or raise revenues. Evidence suggests it's going to be hard to cut spending, and so if we don't cut spending and we don't raise taxes, then we're going to have long-term budget deficits, spiraling, skyrocketing debt, interest rates, etc. So at some point we're going to need to think about raising revenues. Energy taxes are a good possibility in that regard, but also more generally within the existing income and corporate tax system, it's going to be easier to raise revenue from that system if we get the kind of loopholes and special exemptions out of it and tax everything at a low rate.
A lot of hard work ahead of us. Bill Gale, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
What do I think that President-elect Obama should do about taxes? I think that he should lower them so that he can put more money into the pockets of the citizens and they can spend their money how they want.
Probably to ensure that everybody has steady jobs. I think if we have steady work, then we wouldn't mind to pay taxes, even if they go a little bit higher.
I'll just leave it as it is. It'll be okay.
And that's what I think.
Hello, I'm Ron Nessen, along with Brookings Senior Fellow Steve Hess, author of What Do We Do Now?, a workbook for the President-elect. Steve, part of your book is devoted to confirmation battles, the President trying to get his appointees approved by the Senate. You say that there's likely to be one big conflagration, is the word you use, over some appointee. Why is that?
I don't know, but it's always been the case. I can't think of a single president-elect, or president, because by the time the confirmation battles, he's already been inaugurated, that hasn't had at least one battle. And it's as if you could just expect it because it's coming. Now, what do you do in that one battle? One thing you better do is count votes, and you may have to fold and that is very important.
You withdraw a nomination?
Oh, sure. I mean, George H.W. Bush, who chose to go down in flames with his Secretary of Defense designate, John Tower, that was the first time in history that a president lost an initial appointment.
Now, you say that something relatively new has happened in politics as it relates to confirmations, and that is nominees being challenged on the basis of their policy beliefs rather than their personal behavior.
Yeah. Now, these are all appointments that serve at the will of the president for his term in office. So it used to be, as long as they were honorable people, the president got his wish. Starting with Nixon and was Secretary of Interior, Hickel, they didn't like his positions, the Senate on conservation, and they questioned him on that. And since then, it's been very clear that when you go up there, you're not going to be asked just, are you an honorable person? You're going to ask, hey, what do you stand for? So it's more complicated now.
You also talk about a problem that some presidents have had with inadequate vetting, is what you call it. This is people who have something in their background, then the president or his staff don't find out about it before they nominate them?
Oh, exactly. That's why this time the vetting process is so thorough. There's go to the website of Obama, and you'll see the dozens and dozens of questions that a potential nominee has to ask. You got to know if there's anything in a person's background, if you can, before you send their name to the Senate.
Steve, you have an interesting concept in the book about confirmation battles, and you call them the Sherpas. Who are the Sherpas?
The Sherpas are the people who guide the nominees through the process. Just like the Sherpas guide the mountain climbers through Kilimanjaro.
Is this a profession in Washington?
Well, it's not a profession, but these are people who've done it very often. They're very good at it. They're well known in Washington. It's very easy to contact one of them, and they love to do it. And they're very skilled for taking a nominee through the members of the committee. You go to each member of the committee, and you have a conversation, and you keep going till you got all the votes you need.
Thank you very much, Steve. We'll be back next week. I'm Ron Nessen.
Be a part of the presidential transition. Join our pundits and experts for The Scouting Report, our live web chat every Wednesday afternoon at 12:30. Log on to www.brookings.edu/transition.